Now I'd like to open the meeting to the sharing of testimonies of healing through Christian Science. Chardell from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Good evening, and thank you for this beautiful service. I would like to offer my gratitude to this church and all its members near and far. It was one of these members who recently gave me a loving rebuke about my negative behavior. I was complaining about not being able to find something important, and she immediately stopped me. I was surprised and knew right away that she was correct, and I said so on the spot. My thinking changed as well as my attitude. I prayed about what she said, and when I got home, there was the document on a shelf on my desk, just as she had predicted. This has been a very fine lesson for me. In Colossians 3:16, it reads, quote, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual psalms, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord." Thank you.
Thank you. Linda from Pennsylvania, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for the beautiful service tonight. Tonight, I would like to express my gratitude for all the learning opportunities at Plainfield, helping me discipline my thinking, which helps me focus more on God rather than problems. An adult member of my household, who is not a student of Christian Science, was sick with a fever and sore throat. Because it did not get better after a few days, the plan was to get some medical care. It was over the weekend, so he would have needed to go to an urgent care center. These symptoms were the same that had been needed to be treated medically in the past. On my way home from church, I prayed with ideas from several articles from the Plainfield website, such as day and household prayer. I wasn't really sure how the timing was going to work out for us to take care of him, so I put my day in God's hands. When I did get home, he told me that he wanted to wait till the next day to make an appointment. He did not ask for prayer, so I prayed for the household and for my own fear and my own connection with God. I took several opportunities to sit quietly that afternoon. This was new for me, not to feel pressure or to rush in to try to control the situation. That evening, he was able to eat a little. The next day, he was up and symptom-free. I was very grateful for that healing, but more for the disciplined thought which helped me keep peace and quiet that day. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Pilar from New York, go ahead.
Good evening. I would like to express my gratitude for Plainfield Church and for everything that is on the website. I find it so inspiring when I'm at work and I feel overwhelmed. I just quickly turn to one of the articles and read even just a paragraph, and it really changes my mood. I've been working with one of the practitioners in the church in order to see more harmony at work. And it has been a lot of times she has been giving me suggestions what to do, how to change my thinking. And I have to say that today, applying those principles and things that she has been telling me, I had the most wonderful day at work. Everything was really harmonious. I was laughing and joking with people that usually I don't, and it was just a feeling of well-being and the co-workers all cohesive and just wonderful. I am so grateful for Christian Science and for what I'm learning in this church. And I am very grateful for the readings today, which I found also very inspiring. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Luann from New York, go ahead.
Thank you. Since coming here to the Plainfield Church and receiving continual help and support from my practitioner, I have seen some wonderful changes taking place in my life. One change I am most grateful for is overcoming the constant struggle of an overburdened mind, never finding it possible to enjoy one moment of peace and security, or performing the simplest task without discord. Recently, I traveled to Canada for an overnight stay in a major city. I was concerned about missing the church services because of the extra cost of cell service while in a foreign country. I was also concerned about reaching my destination safely. I only had limited directions to my hotel and have had great difficulty traveling into large cities in the past. This time, with the help of my practitioner, I was properly prepared to stay in communication with God. I left the entire trip in His hands. When I approached the border, a voice came over my friend's cell phone announcing that there would be no extra charges for any calls made on her phone while in Canada. I was so grateful to be able to call in for the Bible study that day, which by God's perfect timing ended just before I entered the expressway into the city. I continued to listen for God's direction and was very easily led to the entrance of my hotel, which was a blessing because the directions I had printed had ended 2 streets short of my destination. I was able to listen to all the services the church offered that weekend and receive the information I needed to learn to bring me closer to understanding God. When it came time to leave, the expressway I entered the city on was closed. The man at the hotel told me what streets to take to get back to the highway, but there was some confusion. I cleared my thoughts and relied solely on God to guide me. He brought me right out of the city with ease, clearing away heavy traffic and opening the way for me to see the sign for my exit. I have never experienced anything like this before. Everything about that weekend was absolutely perfect and harmonious. God truly is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Psalm 91. I am so grateful to God for His loving protection and guidance. I am grateful for the prayerful support of my practitioner and all the lessons I have learned through the study and practice of Christian Science. I am so grateful for all that I've been given. Thank you.
Thank you. Gail from Virginia, go ahead.
Thank you very much for those readings on the importance of relying on God. I'm very grateful for all I'm learning in this independent church through the teaching, watches, what my practitioner shares with me, and especially lately, what I am finding of the truth Mrs. Eddy demonstrated in her home and life on a daily basis. All of it makes me love this science, revere Mary Baker Eddy more and more, and increase my love and gratitude for God and Christ Jesus. Yesterday, I visited an acquaintance and took her flowers from my garden. My desire was to comfort her as her husband passed on last week. Although we've been acquainted for some years through a singing group, I never really knew her or her husband or been to her home. When I brought the flowers to her door, she invited me in to visit for a while. The time I have spent studying and praying in this church proves to be a benefit now, as words of comfort easily flowed. And from our church magazine, the May issue of Love is the Liberator, I was able to share the account titled, "There is No Death," from an early worker, a letter sent to Herbert Eustace. We talked about many things, and I was able to answer questions that she had. She said that I helped her, and she is looking forward to more conversations. I came home feeling humbly grateful to God for using me to bear witness to truth and uplift my fellow man. It was a precious time for both of us, and I'm very grateful to be here tonight.
Thank you. Jeremy.
I'm very grateful for practitioner support and the support of the church members. It has been such a wonderful part of my life to be here at this church. And I think about it every day, how it was so different before. I never felt I had anyone to trust, and now I know I can trust God and everyone who is expressing Him. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Fairley from Maryland. Go ahead.
I would like to express my deep and sincere gratitude for all that the Plainfield Church offers to enable me to practice Christian Science correctly. Tonight, I want to express particular gratitude for their wonderful magazine, Love is a Liberator, which I could hardly put down when it came beautifully packaged in the mail yesterday. One very helpful article that really meant a lot to me was an article in which it was expressed that the writer had learned to converse with God. He explained that he had been told by a practitioner there at Plainfield to stop what he was doing several times a day and have a conversation with God, just like talking to him like a friend, asking him what he has for him, asking him if there's someone who needs his help. I found this extremely useful, and I want to put this in place in my life. I want to use this method of learning how to get closer to God. I've really taken this experience that he's sharing to heart and intend to put it into practice as best I can. I yearn always to be closer to God. And God has been very good to me and healed me of many things, and I'm very grateful to be here at Plainfield. I'm very grateful to God, to Jesus, to Mrs. Eddy, and to the Plainfield Church. And thank you very much for the readings on relying on God.
Thank you. This is Bruce. I'd like to share an experience that I witnessed. This is a few weeks ago. And I'll just start out by saying, every Sunday we say the Lord's Prayer with its spiritual interpretation. We go to the line that says, "Thy kingdom come." Mrs. Eddy provided a spiritual interpretation for it. It says, "Thy kingdom is come. Thou art ever present." And I remember listening to that recently, and it seemed like so simple yet profound. Not only is God ever present, but His kingdom is ever present. His reign and rule. And with that in mind, there was an opportunity that I had where I went into an office to work with some people. And then a time came when I could hear two people in the other room, and it sounded like that they were very angry and like arguing with each other and fighting. And I didn't know exactly what was going on. They were actually speaking a different language. So there was no way that I could participate in the conversation or help or anything, except that I could just know, "Dear God, what do I know about you?" And the only thing that came to me at that time was that God's voice is louder and stronger than any sense of human reasoning. I just held on to that simple concept. And then shortly thereafter, I noticed that the two people in the other room were not fighting with each other anymore. Their tone was much more calmer, and I just sensed that they were then cooperating with each other and working together instead of fighting against each other. So this, to me, illustrated just what a powerful thought is, that God's kingdom is indeed come here and now, and He does reign and rule. I'm very grateful for this example that I witnessed and for everything that we have in Christian Science.
Sharon?
Hello, Sharon. Go ahead.
When I was new to Christian Science, I had two small boys that were ready for bunk beds. And I mentioned it to a practitioner in this church. And I did not realize that you could use God to go shopping. Excuse me. And she said, when you go shopping, you take God with you. And use this statement: angels, God's thoughts passing to man, spiritual intuitions, pure and perfect. And she explained it to me that whatever you do, God is right there, and if you listen, everything is right. She told me God would tell me where to go, the right item at the right price. Well, I went to a store, I looked, but it did not seem like the right thing. So the next day I spoke to the practitioner. I did not understand why I couldn't find what I thought I needed. And she assured me God had a perfect plan, and He supplied every need for these children. Well, several hours later, a relative called and had almost brand new bunk beds that they wanted to give to us. That was God's plan. So I called the practitioner and we rejoiced. And I'm just so grateful for what I've learned in this church, because I always thought Christian Science was only for healing when you were ill. But after that situation, I learned you can take God with you because He's with you all the time, and just listen for His commands. I am so grateful to be part of this church, for all the teaching and healings I've had, for practitioner help, and for those beautiful readings. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol.
In the most recent issue of Love is the Liberator, there's a poem by Gilbert Carpenter Jr. It says, I see myself as God's own child, as perfect in His sight. I see my brother man as well, a perfect child of light. Then to complete my prayer, I see him seeing me aright. I see him seeing me, seeing him as perfect in love's sight. The first time I heard that poem, it really impressed me, because I had always known to see other people as God's children, but I had never thought to see them seeing me as God's child. That has been a help to me so many times in any dealings with other people, in a store, anywhere, in a meeting at work. Just seeing myself as God's own child, seeing them as God's child, and seeing them seeing me that way. And it's just been such a help to me all my life. I am so very grateful for this wonderful truth. I'm grateful for everything that I've been taught here and that I'm still learning. I'm very grateful for practitioner help all along the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig.
Hello, Craig. Go ahead.
I thank God for always meeting our needs through our church. And just recently, the lesson in the story of the Shumanite woman whose insistence that what God gave her was perfect and really helped me. I had my wife and I, with help of this church, we adopted a fellow years ago, and I was told at the time many good things. Every good gift and every perfect gift coming from above, where there is no variableness or shadow of turning. Another statement, the blessing of the Lord and make it rich, and he added, no sorrow with it. Well, those three things in the lesson really helped so much. My son got in some trouble just recently at school, and I called a practitioner because I just wanted to handle it properly and not blow up and it turned into less than a blessing. So I was given support, and we got to the root of the problem, and these words of truth helped me to be not to see him as the error, but to see him free of it, and to really be a help, not a hindrance. He's been so much more cooperative since then, and hardworking, and learning some hard lessons, including a good reputation is very hard to regain. But it's all a blessing, and I thank this church and these lessons for helping me to be part of the solution, not the trouble. Thank God for what we get here.
Thank you. Ade or Florence, go ahead.
Thank you. Tonight I'd like to give gratitude for the many things I have learned from this church. It really has taught me how to live Christian Science, make it a way of life. And one of those things was learning about the 3 C's and an E. This has been so helpful because it's worth remembering when error tries to be so aggressive and make you feel hopeless, helpless, and discouraged. The first C I learned is confidence. This is confidence in God's love, to know that His love is all around all the time. The second C is courage, which is having the guts or the stamina or the belief in God enough to stand and be counted for God. And then the third C is consistency, which is doing what we need to do to be in line with God all the time, steadily, not giving up, and not allowing error to bully us or push us around. And then the E is expectancy. Because God is love, and because love is working all the time, we have to be expectant of good. And as the readings affirm tonight, if we understand that the divine mind governs, then we can be in a mode or a thinking of expecting good all the time. These have helped me so much to go back to it really has helped me to know that God is ever around, so nearer than we can imagine. And to just remember the 3 C's and an E, it's just been a practical way of remembering that I have dominion. God is here, therefore I have dominion. And I'm just so grateful for these simple, practical ways that the teachings here has helped me through the years. I'm so grateful for God's grace to mankind, Christ Jesus' message of love, Mrs. Eddy for all that she went through to explain how to practice this healing truth. So grateful for the beautiful readings tonight, very instructive and just beautifully read. And I thank everyone for their testimony tonight. Just very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jim from Arizona, go ahead.
Good evening. I would like to express my gratitude for our services and church meetings. And I would especially like to say thanks for the wonderful music. The prelude for this evening was outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary.
I'll read from our church website bulletin board tonight, the first from Virginia. Many thanks to all for the Sunday, May 28th service. Each part of it was joyful and uplifting. The selection from fruitage on page 694 was especially instructive and meaningful, and as has been said, the singing of the Lord's Prayer was wow. Sincere thanks to each participant for an inspiring service. And then Pennsylvania, thank you, Faith, Sammy, Laura, Craig, and Bruce for the lovely rendition of "Oh, Lord, how majestic is your name." What a wonderful way to praise God. And then this was a note from someone who had visited us from New Hampshire recently. Dear Plainfield Church, Robin and I enjoyed the experience of attending the church service as well as the round table. All of you express such love, and isn't that the power of God, which we all express? Thank you. And then from someone in Nigeria. Good day. I am writing from Nigeria. I am new to Christian Science, and a lot of things are confusing to me, but I really appreciate Christian Science and would like to know more. I have read some of your articles and will really love to have more. I have downloaded a lot of articles from the PlainfieldCS.com website, and they are really exciting, and I want to learn and know more. Thank you all for what you are doing. And then the last is also from someone new from Massachusetts. I have been studying Christian Science for about 5 years now. I have attended the Mother Church and some branch churches, but becoming a member just didn't feel naturally right. I enjoy self-study with Mrs. Eddy's works in the Bible and with writings of the early workers. My husband found your website just by chance and introduced it to me. At first I felt it was rather radical to the more vague teachings I seem to have been receiving by the church, lectures, and various other testimony meetings and Bible study groups I've attended. But something kept drawing me back to your site and telling me to keep listening. It seems I've had such an eye-opening revelation that all that you teach, although it seems radical to human view, is actually the most loving and correct teaching, and that truly embodies Christian Science. I have learned more in the past few months by listening to your roundtable discussions and Bible study meetings than all the previous years put together. I also love the format in which you present your Sunday service. I'm also so impressed that all your members so enthusiastically give a testimony every week. As a student of Christian Science, I feel it should be natural to experience good and to have healing. I've been to other testimony meetings where there is a heavy weight of silence that I have always felt was a bit uncomfortable. I feel it is right to express what God is showing and teaching us, and not to be too concerned with what the mortal man might think about what we say. If God is happy with what we communicate, then it is right and good. And to know that these things are the works of God and not just coincidences or happenings by chance. I was so moved by Luann's testimony. Death isn't the answer. I felt it gave me a vivid mental picture and has helped me to understand that we must live out of matter and we do not die. I can see that whatever problems we seem to have here, we take them with us if they still exist in our consciousness. I see that we need to purify our thought of all evil to be wholly good in God's image and likeness. I was so touched by Fairley's testimony of when she visited the Plainfield Church and for the first time a testimony meeting. The love and sincere gratitude brought me to tears. I'm so grateful to God for leading me to you all. You are such a beautiful, blessed family of exquisite spiritual ideas, God's perfect children, and I feel it is a dear privilege for me to receive the bountiful blessings from your wonderful website. It is filled with spiritual food and drink for those of us who are so hungry and thirsty for it. You give love freely. I thank you and reflect the love you have shown to me in my daily experiences too. Your light radiates out to bless the world, and we are so blessed to have you. Thank you, Plainfield Christian Science Church, Independent. And we're so grateful that she found us as well. And when she first called, she said the sole reason of her calling was to let us know some of the things she expressed here, how grateful she was to have found us, and that there are many more like her that are perhaps just listening, and maybe we have not heard from them, but they are being blessed by what we offer. And this is truly why we exist. And we go by the Christ Jesus saying that freely we have received, freely give. I'm very grateful tonight, too, for those beautiful readings, how important it is that we learn not to tend the regulator, but to let God's plan work in our lives, and also for all the beautiful testimonies given. In this week's lesson, there's a statement from Psalms. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. And it reminded me of a wonderful healing I'd had a while ago when I woke up in the middle of the night, very, very ill with some kind of a stomach virus or a poison, something. Anyway, I felt so sick I could barely think, and but that one verse came to me, and I just had a vision of God's angels surrounding me. That's all I could think. That one thought, and I clung to that thought and worked to know that that was the truth, and that if God's angels surrounded me, then nothing could touch my being but God's love. And I held to that, refusing to think about anything else, including the discomfort. By daybreak, I remember it was leaving me, and by morning it was gone. And I knew it was because I had followed Mrs. Eddy's instruction to cling steadfastly to the truth of being. Hang on. Sometimes Bicknell Young says when you're at the end of the rope, to tie a knot and to hang on, and how true that is. And so that verse always reminds me of that wonderful healing. In the lesson 2, Mrs. Eddy says in Science and Health, these angels deliver us from the depths. Truth and love come nearer in the hour of woe, when strong faith or spiritual strength wrestles and prevails through the understanding of God. The Gabriel of his presence has no contest. To infinite, ever-present love, all is love, and there is no error, no sin, sickness, nor death. Certainly it's what happened to me that evening, and I'm so very grateful to Mrs. Eddy for giving us our wonderful textbook, for our Bible, for these truths that we make practical in our lives. So grateful to be here with you all tonight.